So our next speaker is Mr. Pablo. So Pablo Coffey, and I actually met Pablo through Twitter, actually. It was a Twitter conversation.
Was it?
It was a Twitter conversation. And I was impressed, because, well, the fact his name was Coffey, because I love coffee, so coffee, that's my kind of guy. And yes, I realized the irony of the fact a guy named Richard should not be making fun of anyone's name. And then when I saw his sense of humor that he has towards the sounds he faced in his comedy, I'm like, this is my kind of person. And Pablo, I'll let you judge if that's a compliment or not. Okay. Those who know me, which is most of you, probably realize I have a little bit of a different sense of humor. Political correctness is not my strong point, is what it comes down to. I'm behaving myself today. Pablo's actually here to share with us about keep smiling and about facing life challenges with a smile. So please welcome Pablo Coffey.
Can I do it for comedy club and bring it with me?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
I feel like that fits the topic.
I figured it might.
Keep it with a smile and a beard.
Yes.
Seems like a solid plan.
So, where to begin? I wear the shirt and I wear it with pride, for sure. Long story short for me, I won't drag out the details, but multiple time cancer survivor, a stroke, a pacemaker, and 37 times under the knife now. Including 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's been a heck of a run, but I'm still here, and I'm blessed. I'm at home, I'm raising my kids. My wife and I have been through a lot together, but here we stand together as a family. It's been hard on our family. We lost my dad 15 years ago at the age of 50 to cancer, and then when I was in the middle of treatment in 2010 on the brain, my sister passed away at 35 from lung cancer. So very aggressive in our family. So instead of sort of sitting back and letting that get to me, especially having had children at home, the second time I battled with it, it became a very different outlook on where I need to be mentally on this. So it was 9 years ago tonight, in about 4.5 hours from now, at the stroke at midnight, as I like to call it, is when I had a stroke, which was 4 days after my brain surgery. And I was supposed to go home the next morning, 12 hours later, and because of the stroke, which thankfully happened in front of one of the nurses, I was there for weeks after that. There was no going home, but had it happened 24 hours later at home, I wouldn't have the luxury of sharing this conversation with you guys. So I'm blessed multiple times on still having the shot at being here, so I need to do something about that. And it's as difficult as it's been. I have my days, as we all do, no matter the stresses in our life. I still like to find the humor in it. So I want to tell 4 short but relatively funny stories based on different issues that I've gone through. The first one being, the first time I battled cancer, I was in high school and had testicular cancer. And tough to go through at the age of 17. I was fighting for baseball scholarships down in the US, and life was busy. And I think having gone through that at that age was a really good setup for everything that's happened since. And dealing with it a second time, a very different type with brain cancer this time, and with a wife and children, made it a very different storyline. But I brought a lot with me from that earlier version of it that taught me how to react and how to behave around people, and finding the sense of humor in all of this. When I met my new urologist years ago, Dr. Garrison, who's the chief urology at the Ottawa Civic, said, I've got a new doctor for you. He's new to Ottawa. He's wonderful. You're going to get along with him tremendously. But you need to tone down on your sense of humor and the stuff you try to pull off when you come into our office. And I said, well, you know me better than that, but okay, for this one, I'll let it go. And of course, I didn't let it go. So the day I was meeting Dr. Saltel, I showed up and I had, you get your little jar of, you have to urinate in it to leave as a sample. And I brought a nice warm bottle of apple juice with me. And when Dr. Saltel came in, I poured it into the cup, unsealed it, poured it in there, and he walked in and he said, were you able to get a sample? And I said, I did. It looks a little foggy though. We should run it through again. So I took the cap off and I drank the apple juice, which I poured in the bottle, to which he went, like white as a ghost, left the room. Dr. Gerritsen comes in a few minutes later and said, "You did it, didn't you?" And I said, "You know me better." So it was about another 20 minutes before he came back in, Dr. Saltel, and decided that he would keep me as a patient, thankfully, because he changed my life in the sense that down the road, the pacemaker that I received was actually for my bladder. So I was the first man in Canada to get a pacemaker for my bladder. So it works like a gas tank. So when my bladder gets filled to a certain point, I get shocked, and then I know it's time to go. So the kids had a lot of fun with it in the early days. I walk into some stores and I set off the alarms, and so there's lots of fun to be had with that. When I had my brain surgery, which was April 26, 2010, and as I was telling you about earlier, usually that's a day for me to celebrate, and unfortunately this past week I lost a dear friend of mine to brain cancer on the same day that I would normally celebrate having gotten through mine, and 3 boys under the age of 13, so a very young family and very unfortunate. But what that does is it inspires me to go out and make a bigger difference and raise more money. And I like to talk about how the money raised in Canada really does go to the right places. And that's one of the bigger topics I talk about when I speak at high schools and universities at Relay for Life events, where students are spending a lot of time and effort to raise money for the Canadian Cancer Society. And the money, and where it gets distributed within our country. And I think it's good for, especially the youth who are trying to make a difference, to hear that, so they know they really are making a difference. So the brain surgery, I wake up from 13-hour surgery, and the nurse says, "I'm gonna go get your wife, she's asleep in the waiting room." And I said, "Okay, but you gotta do me a favor," because we knew there was gonna be a huge issue with my memory because of the portion of the brain they had to go into. And when my wife walked in, she came over to the bed and she said, "How are you feeling?" And I said, "I'm sorry, who are you?" And she gave me, the nurse is standing behind her going like, no, you can't do this. And then I could see my wife getting worked up. I'm like, "Oh no, like I can't keep doing it." But I'm like, she's like, "Your children are asleep in the waiting room." I'm like, "I don't have children." And then she got upset, and the nurse actually handed me off to another nurse. She wanted nothing to do with me after that. And I've never brought it up with my wife again, I think rightfully so. But in moments like that, trying to, find something funny after waking up from a 13-hour brain surgery, just blessed enough to have woken up, was a really good feeling. So it sounds silly and it sounds, slapstick, but it's what I enjoy. It fires me up to wake up every morning. It allows me the will and the want to go out and help make a difference for others who are going through these same battles. So the last thing I'll talk about is the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada. I took over the Ottawa chapter a few years ago. We have increased our fundraising dollar amounts every year dramatically, quite dramatically, and it's becoming a much bigger and better event. I'm doing another big comedy night at Shankman this fall on behalf of Chris's family. My friend who passed away last week. So the point of what I like to talk about is, get into it, whatever it is, whatever you're dealing with, deal with it. Surround yourself with people who understand what you're going through, are going to help you deal with this. Hang on to them after. Don't be afraid to ask for their help or their advice and find something good in this and give yourself a reason to keep going. And I know that my wife and my kids in 2010, when things got really out of control, was easily the most motivating factor for me. So all I do now is public speaking and foundation events for different foundations, and it's selfish in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, it's extraordinarily therapeutic, as much as I would use that word. But that's what keeps me motivated to get up every morning and tuck my kids in every night. So that's me. Yeah.
By the way, when you told the story about your doing that to your wife, I'm like, now I know why I like it. That's something I do. Pablo, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for the work you do. I know I had the pleasure to attend one of your events at the Smilin Center. It was a great show. Just to show his sense of humor, I forget the name of the family that benefit was for.
The Tanner.
So they brought out the family and everyone was standing and clapping. And Pablo calls me from the stage and goes, "Michael, you fucker, I know you can stand up. Get up." Okay, fair point. we'll keep out the Michael E. Pfeiffer, but that's okay. I said worse stuff, so that's why.
Hey, you helped me, you were a part of an event that raised $10,000 in cash that night for a family in need.
So they,
Only a few weeks before Christmas, so thank you.
And I know Pablo had mentioned June 9th is the brain tumor walk.
Yeah.
At
At Andrew Hayden Park.
At Andrew Hayden Park. So he's doing a brain tumor walk. And I will tell you what, if I can roll instead of walk, I'll come out.
There's some fantastic hills there for you.
Okay, well,
There's lots of space for you to
we'll,
get around.
we'll discuss that. Honestly, I'm game. I'll put on a helmet and let's do this. But yeah, I invite you to connect with Pablo, and I'm guessing there is a website.
Braintumor.ca.
Braintumor.ca, excellent. So yeah, if you'd like to go to braintumor.ca, consider sponsoring, unless we spend some money, because I think cancer is one of those things that hits everybody, and everyone knows someone that has been, be it brain tumor or another sort of cancer, at some point, somebody we know, unfortunately has been affected by it. So thank you for the work you do. I have another hand for Pablo.